Hello, and thank you for joining us on Flix List.
Here on 96.9 WHYR, Baton Rouge Community Radio Station. I'm your host, DJ Clay.
And I'm RCL.
And we will be guiding you through the next half hour of movie reviews, movie-related trivia.
And all generally film-related things.
Information of lots of kinds. I was a graduate of Savannah College of Art and Design in film and television. I've been working in the local film industry for about 6 years now. I'm getting old. I actually like long walks on the beach. My favorite movies are Dead Poet Society, The Godfather #1, and Almost Famous.
I enjoy short walks from my couch to the kitchen. And my favorite movies are Rounders, Garden State, and A Scanner Darkly.
Scanner Darkly.
I graduated from the Louisiana State University School of Acting. I've been an actor for about 7 years now. I've been working with local productions for, I guess, a little over 2 years, production and post-production. And I guess that makes me semi-qualified, although probably not as qualified.
Oh, no. We are both definitely semi-qualified.
Thank you for joining us on our show. We're going to review 5 movies a week, or at least try to. The way we will decide is we'll try to, in general, pick movies that are readily available, movies that are in theaters, movies that are on Instant Play and Netflix.
Although I have a feeling it will probably come down to whichever 5 movies we watched that week.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And
we watch at least 5 movies a week.
We will certainly watch that many movies a week, and we will certainly try to give you a semi-coherent review of those movies. And we're going to even try to have some fun with just basic film industry trivia, and we'll probably do a segment on understanding the credits better so we can tell you what things like The Gaffer does or The Best Boy Grip. If you ever watched the credits at the end of the movie, there's certainly some puzzling titles that roll across the screen.
Very much so. And generally, we'll probably try and review movies that other people haven't reviewed. You probably won't hear us reviewing The Lord of the Rings.
A lot has been said about The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Probably a lot more than we could say and a lot smarter than what we could say. So we're going to try and stick to movies that are a little bit more independent
I
than
don't
that,
speak
probably.
Elfin fluently.
Right. Or at least movies that are recently coming out that nobody's talked about yet. So
absolutely.
That, maybe we can say something that sounds smart before anybody else does. The film we will be reviewing is called My Last 5 Girlfriends.
The director is Julian Kemp. The writer is also Julian Kemp. But it's based on a book by Alain de Botton, Essays on Love, or it's released in the U.S., just simply On Love.
This stars Naomi Harris, who you may remember from 28 Days Later, or Pirates of the Caribbean.
As well as Brendan Patricks, who you're probably only going to recognize if you're British.
Yeah, he's more of a British television actor, I believe.
The film is a very independent English film, very English, set in London, where our main character, Duncan, revisits with us memories of his past 5 relationships. The title really does a good job of summing up the entirety of the plot.
Right.
My Last 5 Girlfriends.
Yeah, that's pretty much, it's exactly what it is.
Sort
of starts at the end, one of those type of movies.
Starts at the end. If the plot is reminding you a little bit of High Fidelity, that's unfortunate because the movie really lacked a lot of the charm and self-deprecating wit that High Fidelity had. Although I will say it had absolutely hysterical moments in it.
Yeah, I very much found myself laughing out loud at moments. But I felt myself having sort of a detached enjoyment, as it were. Like I enjoyed the moments individually, but I didn't really connect with the main character at all.
You're a trained actor. Do you? I mean, I can talk a little bit about feeling like perhaps those performances were a little weak.
Yeah, there were some weak performances. There were also some decent performances. I guess I would say the acting was probably par, with the exception of one of the girlfriends was horrendous. I won't mention names, but if you do happen to watch the movie, I'm sure you'll be able to figure out which one I'm talking about. She really took me out of the movie. The rest of the acting, and the reason I say par, I guess, is because, I don't remember the performances as being good or bad, so except for that one. So, it wasn't special or anything, but it also wasn't horrendous.
But we're going to call it lackluster.
Lackluster, very much so.
I will say that where this movie really falls short is simply in its structure, in its screenplay structure. It is extremely episodic. So where I'll compare it again to High Fidelity, where in High Fidelity, the movie jumps in and out of these past relationships as he revisits them or as he tells stories about them. There's still always a through line of the relationships he's dealing with now. And in this movie, we seem to only get the character's reflections on past relationships without us getting to know him as a present character in the now.
Yeah, we don't really know anything about the main character that really makes us care about him. I mean, we find out, I think about like 2/3 of the way into the movie that he's an architect, just sort of randomly, and
we don't care.
We don't care. Like it didn't start that way, and again, while there are some endearing moments, it falls short of actually bringing you into the movie with the character. I mean, there were certainly a lot of moments in the movie where I felt like, I've felt that way. And I see that my last 5 girlfriends in that way too. That's very interesting. But again, like I felt like I was more like a scientist watching a lab rat rather than actually enjoying the experience.
I would very much like to read the book that it's based on because I have a feeling that this as a concept could work very well as a book.
As a book, absolutely.
Very much because of that. You're sort of on board with, let's study human nature.
Right.
But in a film, you want to feel it. You want to feel human nature.
Exactly.
The best thing I can say before we get, I guess, to the ratings is that this movie was mercifully short. It was under 90 minutes long.
Yeah, I guess if it had been much longer than that, you would have felt like
you would have really hated.
Yeah, you would have felt like you wasted the life. It's one of those things where, like, if it was 2 hours long, you'd been like, I wish I could have the past 2 hours of my life back. But since it's an hour and a half, I guess
84 minutes. I can sit around for 84 minutes.
4 minutes, yeah.
So, out of 5 stars?
2.5, I guess.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
Oh, good. All right.
Well done, sir.
So that was our review on My Last 5 Girlfriends.
It is available on instant play on Netflix.
Although,
if you want to go against our word.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it.
Or just, if you want to challenge us, go watch it. And if you thought it was the best movie ever, send us a long email where we can maybe talk about it later.
Yeah.
If I'm bashing somebody's favorite movie.
Somehow I doubt. Or just go watch High Fidelity for a better version of this.
That's right. The next movie we're going to review is 2009's Low, simply spelled L-O. It's available on Netflix Instant. It was written and directed by Travis Betts.
Starring Jeremiah Burkett, Sarah Lazez, and Ward Roberts.
I like the question mark at the end of the hard-to-pronounce name.
Yeah. I apologize if that actress listens to our show randomly.
So I will say that I didn't watch this movie this week. So I will be asking you...
Somebody didn't do their homework.
Your expert opinion about it. But start us with a summary.
Yeah.
And then I'd like to know a little bit more about it.
Well, it's about this young man, Justin, who has lost his girlfriend, and she didn't break up with him or die. She was dragged to hell by a demon. So
I hate when that happens.
I do. I know. That's a very unfortunate thing. So the movie begins with him doing a satanic ritual to summon the demon Lo, L-O, where the title comes from.
Interesting. So I will say I'm looking at the cover, and if I'm walking down the aisles at my local video store, which of course there's tons of nowadays, I would look at this and be a little confused totally because it looks like it really could be just a straight up horror movie, or it kind of looks like it could be a Pan's Labyrinth, surrealistic kind of brain movie. One of which I'm going to snatch right up and the other of which I'm probably going to walk by.
I actually think you are closer with the latter description. I mean, while I would not compare it to Pan's Labyrinth, I will certainly say that this is not a horror film, although the cover looks very menacing.
The plot seems like it could be a wonderful horror film.
And there are some moments that I suppose if you're easily scared, that are a little creepy and unnerving. Ultimately, the acting was subpar, especially on the main character. My one thought was, heavy breathing does not a good actor make. There are several times in the movie.
Don't tell that to Tony Soprano.
Oh, wow. Well, see, I think he's heavy breathing for a different reason.
Yeah, no.
There are several points in this movie where he's obviously scared, and the way he shows that, which I think an actor should never show anything. They should just live in the moment. That I'm scared, so I whatever. And I understand that like maybe that's some people's reality, but it's very distracting.
Right.
And it brings you out of the movie, or at least personally brought me out of the movie.
Absolutely. So we weren't really impressed with the acting. I will say that the plot interests me.
Oh no, the plot is very interesting. That was one of my notes that after I'd watched it was a very creative idea done poorly.
You walked away ultimately disappointed, although the premise tickled your fancy.
Oh, well, absolutely. I believe if I had saw this as a play, I would have walked away thinking that was probably one of the coolest plays I've seen in a very, very long time.
What made it work so much better as a play than as a movie?
Well, it's a one-location movie. It literally takes place entirely in Justin's apartment, which you don't see. It's completely blacked out. So
Weird.
Until the very end of the movie, he takes off the shutters that are closing his apartment, but you see nothing but like pretty much him in the circle and then the demon. And then also throughout the movie, the demon uses Justin's memories and like pulls them out and projects them onto a wall, sort of, and it's very.
And we see his memories as projections.
No, we don't. We actually see his memories as if they were a play in front of them. So there's a stage with like a painted background and like a table and two chairs, and then Justin, who is playing two characters at one time at this point, he's himself in the circle and then himself in the past. So he's watching himself. It's very difficult to explain. There are some Brechtian moments, I suppose, that that you're reminded that this is a play.
Yeah, you should be thinking about watching a play.
Right, exactly.
But that works very well as a play, but you're not watching a play. You're watching a movie.
You're watching a movie. I feel like part of the movie experience is sort of escapism in general. You're trying to go to far off lands or go to other places while you're sitting in a theater. And if you're just sitting in one place watching somebody else sit in one place, it's
that actually sounds awful.
Right, exactly.
If so, to sum up, if you see advertisements for the latest one-man play of Low, rush out and go see it.
Oh, no, absolutely. I think it was very well done, and it would have been very well done as a play. Also, the one other problem I had with it is that it has this really interesting twist at the end, one that or at least I didn't see coming, and I'm usually pretty good at catching those sort of things. But the problem is that it was very M. Night Shyamalan in that instead of an ending, you had a twist. Like the structure of the story is very well done, except for there's no climax. Like there is no climax. That I guess the twist is kind of
supposed to be the height of your nervousness or your whatever emotional state you're in peaks there. But it doesn't actually give you a climax because it's just a turn of the plot.
It's just a turn of the plot and then it just kind of ends. There's one scene right after the twist that basically means nothing, and the characters end where they started almost, or at least.
Well, and again, that seems like something that would work very well in a play, but with films, we are so used to seeing the 3-act structure that every movie that we watch.
And this actually has the 3-act structure. It's just the third act is not finished.
The third act is 5 seconds long.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, you want to sum it up with a 5-star?
Man, this one's going to be a little bit harder. I liked it. It wasn't a great movie. I liked it. I enjoyed the fact that I watched it. I probably won't watch it again. So let's. Can I go as a 2 2/3 star? I guess I'll probably give it 3 stars.
Just give it 3 stars.
3 stars? Okay.
Well, I will not be rating this movie because I didn't do my homework.
Fair enough. His dog ate the movie. The next film we're going to review is a film called This Film Is Not Yet Rated. It's a 2006 film, an independent documentary, and it was directed by Kirby Dick.
Kirby Dick, I get it.
Kirby.
So Kirby Dick is also not only director, but stars in the documentary as he turns the camera on himself through this process of getting his own documentary that is about the American film rating system.
Yeah, the MPAA.
He turns the camera on himself along with a couple of private detectives that he hires to investigate what is a bizarrely secretive system of rating movies that we have in this country. And then the documentary gets shown to the rating system and then continues with the trouble that he has getting the movie rated.
Yeah, he can't get his film called "This Film Is Not Yet rated by the MPAA.
And mostly because we should warn, this film shows many of the scenes that have been rated NC-17 in other films. So it is a collection of the most controversial scenes of dozens of other movies. There's a lot of language, a lot of graphic nudity.
A lot.
So if you have small children in the room, this is not the Netflix family night event for you.
No,
but if you are interested in sort of controversial documentaries that try to delve deep into controversial issues, I found this to be one of the most engaging documentaries I've watched in a long time.
Oh yeah, it was very, very interesting. And I mean, it might have a little bit more interest for us because we do work in the film industry, but I think it was just across the board one of the more interesting documentaries I've seen in a long time.
If you're a fan of movies, which I hope you are because you're listening to our voices right now.
Right, yeah.
If you are a fan of movies, it's a sort of blood-boiling indoctrination on what is sort of a secret society by a private organization. What the documentary starts to uncover is that it's not the government that's telling us what our films need to be rated, but in fact, it seems like the directors and the people in the industry would almost prefer that, because then it would be an open system where they say, if you say bleep 3 times, then you have an NC-17 rating. If you show exactly this, but right now it seems to be based on a completely arbitrary system of
basically just whatever the mood of the raters for that day.
Right. But these people their names are not allowed to be printed. Yeah. They're secretive, and they are just what is supposed to be the common American. So what is the common American is then what the documentary goes on to discuss.
Right. And the documentary also goes on to reveal a lot of the people who are
supposed to stay very secret.
After you get the feeling of watching this documentary that you want to like get out and you're so angry you want to do something about it and like I need to change this, but then you just don't know what to do. It's a very frustrating thing, and you sort of very much feel the frustration of the people in the documentary, like a lot of the filmmakers.
They talk to many of the filmmakers who have had NC-17 ratings slapped on their films, which of course hurts a film. You can't advertise for an NC-17 film. It turns your movie into a pack of cigarettes.
A lot of theaters won't take films that are
Most
NC-17.
theaters won't take NC-17 films. So the number of people who are going to be exposed to your film decrease significantly. I'll say with Boys Don't Cry. I thought was an excellent example of this. It's a movie that is simply dealing with gay and lesbian hardships socially in this country. And they are showing some things that happen very graphically in this film, but it is with a very strong air of social consciousness. Now, this film gets rated NC-17, and suddenly thousands of teenagers who are going through the things that this film is trying to show can no longer see the to
Yeah, it's not like they're not even allowed to ask their parents if they can go to, because I mean I went to rated R movies when I was younger when my parents would bring me. They'd be allowed, but you're not even allowed to bring your child into this. And you have these very, very violent, bloody scenes from movies that get passed with an R rating, but the second you have some sort
lesbian sex scene.
Something where two people are very much in love with each other. Mm-hmm. And something else that really aggravates me about it is that they'll show 2 sex scenes in the film literally right next to each other. One being a homosexual sex scene and the other one being a heterosexual sex scene. And the heterosexual sex scene is rated R and the homosexual sex scene is rated NC-17.
And they're almost identical
shot by shot. Like it's crazy how close they are, except for the fact that
So the documentary is really delving into how very conservative social norms in the country are rating our movies as opposed to objective differences. I thought, to wrap it up, it was a fascinating documentary.
I agree.
Out of 5 stars?
5 stars.
I say 4.5, but absolutely a fantastic movie.
Very, very good.
The next movie we're going to view is another film industry documentary. I promise we're not going to fill up the show with nothing but film industry movies, but we saw 2 really great ones this week. This one's called Tales from the Script. Get it? It's a play on words. Dozens of acclaimed Hollywood screenwriters discuss their successes and failures, share the amusing anecdotes and their insider insights, and reveal their experience with big-name actors and directors in this documentary directed by Peter Hansen.
He read that right off the Netflix review thing.
When I have more time, I will write my own.
The documentary is very simply shot, just a bunch of very famous writers.
Larry Cohen, Frank
Darabont.
William Goldman.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you just mispronounce Frank Darabont's name, the director of Shawshank Redemption?
Did I?
Yes, you did.
Oh, damn it. That's one of my favorites. The Hollywood screenwriter is not the famous name. And of course, I messed up the director, who is the famous name.
Right.
But many of these guys are guys who have been working in the industry for decades, and then you've never heard of them. It is such a behind-the-scenes job, the screenwriter. And much of what they talk about is that fight that they have to go through being sort of the low man on the totem pole.
So actually, there's a very interesting point that one of the writers, I forget who it is, but he talks about how the writer's not even the low man on the totem pole. He's the writer is the part that is in the ground on the totem pole. It's not even the low point. It's actually the part in the ground.
Apparently, that guy had never been a production assistant, but
well,
who am I to complain?
A production assistant at times. I felt like this documentary, while interesting to me, I felt like there's just a bunch of writers complaining about how they don't get enough respect.
Okay, fair enough. It is very simply shot. It is almost entirely talking heads.
They have a few clips from movies that are talking about screenwriters,
right.
Obviously. And
Barton Fink is a good one of those.
The Majestic.
Right, movies about writers.
Right.
But I'll agree with you. Here's what I did. After I watched this documentary, I immediately emailed the couple of guys I know who want to be Hollywood screenwriters and demanded that they watch this.
Oh, absolutely.
It is the new number one on the top of your list.
Yeah, you don't need to watch
movies
another movie
to watch
until that. But I do agree.
So, but perhaps we can both agree on that. If you are an industry hopeful, if you're looking to get into the film industry, this is a must-see.
Oh, absolutely. I think it teaches you very quickly that, like, the Hollywood screenwriter is not necessarily a glorious or glamorous job. You are going to get battered around.
And you're going to work like a dog.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a movie enthusiast, if you enjoy watching films, if you're a documentary enthusiast, perhaps then we're not rating this movie quite as high for you.
I do believe that at the end of the movie, they sort of stop complaining and start realizing, well, we understand why the system works this way.
Our lives are wretched, miserable lives, but we love what we do.
Right.
Well, excellent. We could probably do 2 different 5-star ratings for this movie then. For those who are pursuing the dream of working in the film industry, this movie is a 5-star.
It's a 5-star, yeah, certainly. Absolutely.
5-star documentary,
you
a
need to watch
must-see. For those who are not interested in working in the film industry,
2 stars.
I'll give it 2.5.
Fair enough.
Once again, we are on the same page with the star rating system. We weren't sure how we were going to rate the movies,
right.
But apparently 5 stars for us is the way to go.
We try not to talk about these films until we get here to record, and apparently we agree way too much. We're going to start fighting in the future.
I am going to watch a movie that I know you like, and I'm going to say that I hate it.
Of course. So,
done
you're,
deal.
You're entitled to your wrong opinion.
So our all-too-brief half hour has come to a close, but thank you so much for listening to Flix List here on Baton Rouge's community radio station 96.9 WHYR.
If you have any questions or comments,
Or request,
or love letters,
or hate mail,
or sexy stories,
or chain mail,
send them to
Thanks so much for listening.
Once again, this is RCL
and DJ Clay. Tune in again next week.